Chances are you've heard the phrase content is king. I don't know if I want to argue with this, but I want to offer a perspective shift. I think starting content is key because you can think about all the content you want to do. You can think about the branding, the logos, the intros, the outros, the music, the graphic design, the effects, the animations. You can go on and on and on. But if you don't start, there's no room for content is king. So starting content is king. So let's talk through a couple different ways that you can get started creating content. All right, let's rock. Now, of the couple ways I'm going to share today, I'm actually going to share two. So it's literally a couple. So a couple things I'm going to share. They're both public facing ways to start creating content. Now, there's private ways to start creating content, but personally, I think you will learn more and you will have a better chance of building consistency after you start if you focus on making more or less all of the content public up front. This will make more sense down the line as you get going. But let's cover the two ways you can publicly start making content. So the first way, and I've talked about this before, I think I might have put this on Instagram recently, is you pick your social media platform of choice. The one that you tend to consume content on the most is usually the one of choice. But just to give a few different examples, this strategy would work for Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and TikTok. I might be missing one, but the reason why I didn't mention LinkedIn, I didn't mention Pinterest, I didn't mention Reddit, I didn't mention Twitter is as I'm recording this video, I do not believe those platforms have the stories feature. Whereas Instagram has it, Facebook has it, TikTok has it, and Snapchat has it. That's four different social media platforms that you can use. And you can start creating stories because stories are low risk. If you don't love the content you recorded in the story, it's going to be gone in 24 hours. I'm going to argue that you're going to be pleasantly surprised by the content you create in stories because if you think about I feel like all of these are pretty relevant except for TikTok, right? Like if you're not making content already, chances are you don't have your friends or family on TikTok, but you probably have them. You might have them on Instagram, you might have them on Facebook, and you might have your friends on Snapchat too. So, if you think about it, think about your circle of friends or your circle of friends and family. When you start using stories, you will probably be the only person in that circle, which could be, you could have, I think I checked on my on my private Facebook, I think I have 998 friends, including friends and family. So, of that group of people, when I post organic video content into my stories, I am more or less part of just a handful of that nearly 1,000 people that's doing that. So just by nature of doing that, you'll stand out, which you might argue that, hey, Randy, well, me standing out, that's kind of risky. It goes against your low risk. It's not as risky as you think because the story will disappear in 24 hours, whether you want to stay longer or not. It's going to be gone in 24 hours. It also gives your potential audience that you start with a chance to get warmed up to the idea of you doing content and specifically video content before you start investing time, energy, and resources on what I'm calling would be feed content. So we have the stories and then we have the feed. When people do video, they tend to hop right into the feed. But if they haven't warmed up the audience, they haven't built in consistency in the stories first, the feed content tends to suffer. And I'm trying to get you to not suffer. So the second way that you can start creating content, because remember, starting making content is king. Content is king. No, on its own, content is not king. Starting creating content is king because it allows you to make content. All right. Now, the second way you can publicly start creating and sharing content is using a software called Descript. So it's Descript. So Descript, you can take a long form piece of content where you basically record into your webcam or record with your phone and talk just for as long as you can, just as long as you can. Really just try to lean in, take a risk, and talk for longer than you're comfortable talking for. You take that whole footage, you put it into Descript, and it's going to transcribe the entirety of what you said. Then you can leaf through, I guess in this case, scroll through. You can scroll through the transcript, and I kid you not, you are going to find excerpts that when you read them, you're going to think, oh, that sounds like a piece of content. That reads like a good piece of content. You highlight it, you create new composition, and there's your video that you can export directly to YouTube. You can actually strip the audio and send it right to your podcast host. There's a bunch of different things inside Descript. I'm not going to go into the details of it today, but let me know of these two strategies that I shared. One being using the stories feature on social media, and two, using the software Descript. Which strategy is speaking to you the most that you're more interested in taking action on? Let me know in the comments. All right. Talk to you next one.